This is the course documents section that you can find by clicking on the link right here. In this section you'll find a number of documents, probably the most important of which are the course readings. These are any of the readings that are not available in the textbook. As you can see, there are 6 of them here. There's actually a 7th one too, but it's linked in that readings section. You have the walkthrough that you're watching right here, and then you have 5 additional documents: the syllabus, the schedule, the grade breakdown, the space critique, and the digital pedagogy project. These final 2 we'll go over later in much greater detail. For now, I'm just going to go over these 3. Even so, I suggest you take the time to download all of the course readings and all 5 of these documents right now. The reason why is because Blackboard sometimes goes down, and if it does, I still want you to have access to all of these things so you can do your readings or check some material if you need to, even if you can't access Blackboard. All right, let's take a look at the syllabus. You'll get to it by clicking this link right here, and it should open in this window, which then allows you to download it using this icon here. Before we go any further, I would like you to pause this video and make sure that you read through this document on your own right now. This isn't intended to be an overview of everything in the syllabus. It's just emphasizing a number of points. I would like you to make sure that you go over these things in detail on your own. Okay, so let's get to some of the things I want to emphasize. All of my contact information is right here. Please note that the easiest way to get in touch with me is via email, so please note that email address. My office phone is on here, but because this is the summer, I am almost never in my office, so it's really not very useful to call me there. Instead, it's easier to get a hold of me at my cell number. You can call me if it's an emergency. Please do only call if it's an emergency. I usually won't pick up an unknown cell number, but you're welcome to use my cell number to send me texts. So if you do have a question you want a quicker response to, that you need it faster than I normally would get back by email, you can send me a text and I'll get back usually much quicker. I do have office hours during the summer. They're 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Mondays and Thursdays. During that time, I'll be on Google Chat, so you can just send me a message that way. Either sign into your Gmail account and use the chat feature there, or download the Hangouts app on your phone and you can use that one to get in touch with me. Of course, my name for that is the same as my email address up here. We have 2 textbooks this semester: Understanding Digital Literacies and Chasing Literacy. Understanding Digital Literacies will actually be reading this week, so make sure to get that one as quickly as possible. We'll be reading chapters 1 through 4 for this Thursday. Both of these images are a link to the Google selling page, so if you want to make sure that you're getting the right one and you don't know where to get it, you can click on those images to take you directly to the selling page. Please read the description and the outcomes on your own. Please note that the readings require a PDF reader. If you don't already have one, you can get one by clicking this icon right here. There are brief overviews of the space critique and digital pedagogy in there, and I suggest you go over them. Please note that the responses are usually less than 300 words, and I do want you to take them pretty seriously. The honest truth is you'll get 100% on the responses if you just do what's required of you. It's supposed to be an easy part of your grade, so just make sure that you're doing them. On the last page here, we just have a few things, reminders. We have the grade breakdown, which I'll go through in more detail in a little bit. We have the grading scale for what you are likely to get in this class. We have a note about participation. You are expected to engage in every class discussion and remain civil. And a note about late assignments. Late responses won't be accepted at all. If you turn it in after midnight on the due date, then you just simply get no credit. For the big assignments, for the digital pedagogy project and the space critique, I will accept late drafts, but they will lose 10% per day until they're turned in. So that means if it's due on June 1st and you turn it in at 1 a.m. on June 2nd, it's already lost 10%. If you turn it in at 1 a.m. on June 3rd, it's lost 20%, and so on. And it'll keep going down until you get down to 0. I do have a plagiarism reminder on here. This occasionally has been a bit of a problem in this class. I ask you to turn in teaching materials, and I just want to remind you that all teaching materials that you turn in for this class must be created 100% by you. That means that you cannot borrow somebody else's assignment and use it. That means that you can't use something that you get online, even if you pay for it. You get it from whatever that site is, paying other teachers or whatever it is. That's not okay to use for this class. You're welcome to use that stuff for your own classes, but everything that you turn in for this class is expected to be created 100% by you, and I do mean 100%. Now let's take a brief look at the schedule. This is a single document that contains all of the information that you'll find in the weekly folders section in Blackboard. You just have all of the classwork, all of the assignments in a single place for you to view. The major reason for creating this document is just in case Blackboard goes down, you'll still know what you have to read for that week. So I definitely suggest that you download this right now. Take a moment to just glance through and see what we've got coming up. I do strongly suggest that you work ahead. So there is a few things due today, there's a few things due on Thursday, but if you have some extra time, might as well start doing the readings for next week. You will note that some weeks the reading is a little bit heavier than other weeks. This is just due to the nature of trying to lump similar things together. So some weeks you have as many as 90 pages of reading, and there is one week where you have only one very short reading. So I do suggest when you have those shorter readings and you have a little bit of extra time to go ahead and read ahead. The final document that we're going to go over is the grade breakdown. This just gives a detailed overview of how your final grade will be calculated. Please note how things are weighted out, that the digital pedagogy project and the space critique are worth more than weekly responses, for example, and that each of these things has various pieces to it. A few things I want to point out is that we do have 2 first drafts for the major assignments. These are worth 5% each. And that in the digital pedagogy project, you do have 3 individual pieces that together are worth 45%. In the responses, you have 10 regular responses worth 1% each, 2 peer responses worth 3% each, and a final course reflection that's worth 4%. Now, hopefully you've gone through the Start Here section, taken a look at the weekly folders, and taken a look at the course documents. I imagine at this point you might have a few questions. I'd like you to take a moment and click on the questions discussion forum and ask me at least one question that you have about the course. It doesn't matter how small or trivial the question is. It can be questions about anything that we're going to cover during the course, any questions that you have about me or my teaching, any questions that you have about past versions of the course. Anything is really fair game. I'd like to do this for 2 reasons. One is to make sure that we're answering any questions that you still have, making sure that everything is very clear for you. But I'd also like to do this to normalize just the practice of asking questions. I think that making sure that there's an open dialogue about class content makes things easier for everybody. So right now, just take a minute, click on that questions link, and ask me a question about the class.